Welcome to another Flexi Friday. I know you've all been waiting for this one. This is a legs, bum and tum stretch. Go and get yourself into some comfies and I'll meet you back right here. And we're going to come on to your bottom first of all. And I'd like you to place your left leg out in front of you. We're going to make sure that the knee is nice and flat on the floor rather than having this little bit of gap underneath. So we're going to make sure that the knee's flat on the floor. My toes are pointing directly to the ceiling. So if you do find that you've got a bit of an out there on the toe or an in, depending on your hip situation, I'd like you just to amend that there. So we're going to take a big deep breath in, big breath out, and as we breathe out we're going to come down into that hamstring stretch here. Now you may notice that your shoulders may be up around your ears, because if you have tight hamstrings, here's what's going to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to be quite aware of our shoulders. We're going to drop the shoulders down and also just kind of drop that elbow down just a little bit here as well. And we're going to adopt that deep breathing at the start, taking a deep breath in and out, and again in and out, and you'll start feeling that stretch at the back of the leg here, which is the hamstring muscle. If it's particularly tight, it may cramp. It's completely normal. Just have a little bit of a walk around, then come back to this stretch here. One more deep breath. And out. Well done. We're going to swap those legs over now. So we're going to bring the left one in and swap it over with the right foot out. Again, making sure that the toes are pointing to the ceiling, but also pointing towards me first, because you're making the gap between you and your toe a lot longer if your toes are pointing away from you. So just point that toe away, toe towards you, and you'll probably already notice a stretch in the hamstrings if you're tight, and maybe even in the calf muscle. So we're going to take a deep breath in again. And we're going to come down, reaching for that foot again. If you can't get to the foot, don't get frustrated, because your body's going to tense up. We need your body as relaxed as possible to enable us to actually get into the stretch. So again, we're going to drop the shoulders down, whether you're at the knee, whether you're at the calf muscle, wherever you are, hold that position. We're going to hold this position for about 20 seconds, 3 big deep breaths basically. Being aware just to drop the shoulders down, keeping the leg nice and flat to the floor as well. Good, a few more seconds to hold. And breathe out. Good, well done. We're now going to come into a double hamstring stretch. We're going to place the legs completely out in front of us. See if you can kind of bring the body up into an upright seated position. If you're not used to this, you might find that you get a bit of a sag in the bottom of the bum. If you do, just pop a little cushion underneath your bottom just to raise the hips and raise the pelvis up slightly. Again, we're going to take some deep breaths. We're going to drop the shoulders away from the ears. They don't need any company. They've kind of got the hair and each other to keep them warm, you know. So we're going to come down into a double hamstring stretch, adopting that breathing again. Dropping down and into double hamstring. If your knees want to fly up, try and keep the knees as close to the floor as possible, and perhaps bring the stretch back slightly. So if you do find that your form changes but you really want to get to the toes, it's best to keep the legs straight first and train the body that way, than rather coming into this kind of situation. So we're going to come down into hamstring, 3 deep breaths here, trying to drop the shoulders down. Might make you sweat a bit, but it's worth it. One more big deep breath. And breathe out. That's it, well done. From here, we're gonna leave the hamstrings alone for a little while. We're gonna spin round, a little bit of a break dance, and we're gonna come onto our side. Now, we're gonna stack the feet, the knees, the hips, the shoulders, all in one straight line. So I haven't got the hips towards the floor like this, and I'm not sinking back towards the floor here. So I want you to kind of double check where your pelvis is, double check where your hips are here. And we're gonna come into a laying quad stretch. So for those who suffer with a little bit of imbalance when you're standing in this stretch, this is a nice way to get the stretch without feeling that you're gonna fall all over the place. So we're gonna take our heel, bring it up towards the bottom. I'm gonna catch the top of the foot here, and I'm gonna bring in that heel towards my bottom. Now what I've got here is my knees are stacked together, my shoulders are back, so I'm not caved. I've got my shoulders back, knees together. Now what I'm gonna do, if you want to increase that stretch, just push the hips forward, and you'll notice an increase on the quad. So we're gonna take 4 deep breaths here. The more you breathe, the more your body will relax. See, what happens is, as soon as we try and stretch it, the muscles freak out and they tense. So it takes a bit of time for us to almost communicate to the muscles that this is okay, which is why we deep breathe. We're going to take one more deep breath here. That's it, well done. Slowly, slowly bringing that foot back to meet the other one. And what we're going to do is we're going to swap over. So I'm going to switch ends. So I'm not going to like face the wall and you just get my bum. So I'm actually going to switch ends again. I'm going to stack the feet together, the knees, the hips, the shoulders, and the elbows, so the elbows supporting me nicely. If you've got a wooden floor, perhaps put like a cushion under your elbow if you get a bit of uncomfortableness there. Again, just making sure that I'm not sinking backwards, I'm not coming forward too much, I'm not hyperextending the back either. And we're just going to take that top foot, I'm going to bring it round to my bottom, I'm going to align my knees together, bring the heel to the bottom if you can. If you can't, just stop where you are, hold it and breathe. Don't overstretch the body. You'll get to that full range of motion eventually, but don't overstretch it too much too soon. So again, if you just want to press the hips forward, you'll notice the quad stretch on the right hand side. Just intensify just a tad, and we're going to breathe. Relax the shoulders down and enjoy. One more big deep breath. Letting it all out through the mouth. Best way to breathe is in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just getting rid of all those toxins and the carbon dioxide that evacuates the body when we breathe out. Very slowly, we're going to bring that leg back to the floor. And we're going to slowly start to sit up. Now we're now going to come into a standing position because we're actually going to stretch out our calf muscles now. Our calf muscles at the bottom of the leg, just on the back here. So we're going to very slowly just stand to our feet, and we're going to take a wall. So I'm actually going to use this wall here because I actually get a bit of a deeper resistance on the calf muscle itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to approach the wall. I'm going to place my both hands out in front of me. I'm going to put my right foot behind, left foot in front, and I'm actually going to lean forward on that left knee here, and keeping that right foot planted to the floor, like super, super planted, and you'll feel the stretch in the calf muscle there. More than likely it's tight. Don't panic if you feel, just hold, try and hold and breathe, try and relax the shoulders down. Perhaps listen to the sound of the birds whilst you're stretching, and just enjoy this moment. 3 deep breaths. And 1 more deep breath. Well done, my friends. We're going to release that right foot back now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place the left foot back now as well. Put that right knee forward. So the left foot cemented on the floor, that's not going anywhere. Leaning forward on that right knee. Now you can adjust your intensity. So if you want to have more of an intense stretch, you can lean forward more onto the wall. If you're a little bit tight, a little bit painful, just putting the foot behind you and using the wall as a bit of a support is actually usually enough. So again, 3 deep breaths here. Use the time to perhaps look at the pattern on the wall. And 1 more deep breath. And release it, let it all out the mouth. That's it, good. Well done. So far we've actually stretched the hamstrings, we've stretched out the quad muscles, and we've stretched out the calf muscles. So that's the leg part of this stretch done. We're now going to move on to the bottom, so legs, bums and tums. So we're going to make our way back down to the floor. So taking it nice and slowly, back down to the floor, and we're going to start stretching out the glutes. Now I'm going to be laying down on the floor first of all, so we're going to lay flat on our back. Now if you can't see the screen, please don't panic, because I'm going to talk you through everything that you need to do. So I'm laying flat on the floor. If you feel it's a bit uncomfortable around the neck or the shoulders area, feel free to have a little bit, perhaps like a yoga block underneath your head. That's totally okay. Or if you're happy to lay flat on the floor, this is where we're going to hang for a couple of stretches. So we are going to take our right foot and cross it over to our left bum cheek. So I'm going to say that again. We're going to take our right foot and then I'm going to cross over. Now what I'm not going to do is actually shift my entire body over. I want to keep my bottom and my back on the floor flat as much as I can. So I've kind of got this like cross angle going on here. I'm going to take my left hand and put it onto the top of my left foot, so my foot can't fling away from me. So I'm going to hold it. I'm going to take my right hand, put it on my right knee, and then I'm going to hug it in as tightly as I can into the chest. This is going to catch your gluteus medius, which is right on the edge of your bum cheek. You probably didn't even know it existed until this time now. So try and drop the shoulders, relax down the back, and hug in as tight as you can. And we're going to take 4 deep breaths. Forget all those to-do lists right now. This is where the moment's at. This is where the breath is at. Enjoy it. And 1 more deep breath. Hug it in last time. Yes, well done. Very slowly releasing that leg back to the floor. We're going to do exactly the same on the left-hand side. We're going to take that left knee. We're going to cross the left foot over to the right bum cheek. I'm going to grab hold of that foot with my right hand so it doesn't fling away from me. And I'm going to take my left knee, hug it into the chest with my left hand. And again, we're not rolling over anywhere. We're keeping the bottom and the hips and the pelvis flat on the floor. And again, we're just grabbing that stretch and feeling it in the glute middle of the glutes, and holding for 4 deep breaths, relaxing the shoulders down, away from the ears. Big deep breaths. Perhaps you feel this is like the deepest breath you've taken all day or all week. Let's pop a smile on your face. And last one. Excellent, my friends, well done. Big breath out. Just going to send that leg back to the floor. Fantastic. From here, I'm just going to roll like onto my front, and then I'm going to come up into a 4-point kneeling process. So I'm going to roll over and then come onto all fours. So what we're going to do is we're going to stack the hands under the shoulders, knees come directly under the hips. So I've got a bit of like a coffee table going on. If I was to put a cup of tea on your back, you wouldn't go anywhere. So keep that nice steady situation and back going on here. Now I've got my toes flat on the floor here, and the difference I'm going to do is I'm actually going to curl the toes under. So I'm curling the toes under, so I'm actually able to push my sit bones to the ceiling just slightly, because we're now going to transition into what we call a pigeon stretch. For those who do Flexi Friday, you know this is one of my favourite stretches. Great for stretching out the bottom. So we're going to curl the toes under. I'm going to push my sit bones to the ceiling, so I've got a little bit of a hover. I'm going to take my right knee and I'm going to cross it across my body. So I've got this situation here where I've got my foot here, ideally in a right angle here, so my knees in line with my hips, my left leg's going to go back behind me, and I'm going to come down onto my elbows, and you are going to feel that immediately, right in the glutes on the right hand side. And here, if you want to drop your head to the floor, that's fine. We're just going to relax here for about 5 deep breaths now. It does take a while to try and transition into pigeon, so take it easy and don't rush it. If you need to just like rewind on this bit, rewind and rewind and rewind, not a problem, it will eventually come. Two more deep breaths. And one more. That's good, well done. We're going to use that upper body strength to bring us back into our 4-point kneeling position. So again, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, best way to be supported. I'm just going to curl the toes under again. I'm going to send those sit bones up to the ceiling. And we're going to do the same on the left hand side. So I'm going to cross that leg over in front of me. I'm going to make sure my knees in line with my hips. Just bringing up that foot just a tad. And I'm going to send my right leg back behind me. Now my right foot is actually flat to the floor, so the toes aren't up to the ceiling, the heel isn't poking to the ceiling, it's nice and flat, and I'm going to come down into the pigeon stretch. I'm going to feel it just here on my bottom, right there, and I'm going to take 5 deep breaths. I don't know why they call this a pigeon though, because I've never seen a pigeon do this before, but hey. Couple more deep breaths. If you find it difficult to breathe as well, because we spend a lot of time doing shallow breathing rather than deep breathing, just keep going with it, and all of a sudden you'll find that you can do it. It might feel like you're panting at the start, but just concentrate on filling the belly with oxygen and then breathing out from the belly as well, rather than breathing out from the chest area. One more deep breath. That's good, well done. Using that upper body strength to come back up into a 4-point kneeling position. So we've now stretched out our hamstrings, our quads, our calf, and our bottom. Now I'm now going to bring you on to just stretching out the tummy. So especially if you've done like an ab workout and you're finding you've probably got a bit of abdoms, these couple of stretches are great for actually stretching out the part of the torso. So we're going to be in a 4-point kneeling position, back where we were. I'm just going to send, first of all, the knees apart, and I'm going to kiss the toes together at the back. And I'm actually going to put down my bottom onto my heels. So rather than being forward here, I'm going to push the bottom down onto the heels, and I'm going to put the hands out in front of me as wide as they'll go, and I'm actually going to sink down towards the floor. Now whilst you'll feel the stretch in the back in the shoulders here, it's also a really good way of actually opening out the torso part here. So coming down to the floor. Big deep breaths. And 2 more. Big belly breaths. Last one coming right up. Well done. Slowly going to bring those hands back in under our shoulders. We're going to bring the knees back in line with the hips, so we're back into our tabletop position. I'm going to put the hands slightly out in front of me now, because we're actually going to drop the entire body to the floor, flat on the floor, but we're just going to keep the hands slightly in front. So I'm actually going to slide my legs out behind me, coming down onto the floor. I've got my hands just by my shoulders here. I've got my legs, everything in line with my hips, and I'm actually just going to lift up at the front, coming into upward cobra or upward facing dog, whatever you want to call it. And we're just like kind of at the hips there, lifting up at the hips and feeling that beautiful stretch all the way up the tummy. I did abs this morning, so this is a breath of fresh air in one respect and a little bit of torture in another respect. But isn't that stretching through and through anyway? So big deep breaths. Just be careful if you've got any lower back pain, lower back issues. Just be a little bit careful on this one when you're hyperextending the back here. Just don't go back too far. One more deep breath. Well done. Very slowly coming back into our 4-point kneeling position. And we're going to release and relax, because that is your legs, your bum and your tum stretched out for this Flexi Friday. I hope you've enjoyed it, and check us out all the other Flexi Fridays on YouTube, youtube.com/Tojo Fitness. Find us on Instagram at Tojo Fit. Thank you for joining us on this Flexi Friday.